Hello and welcome to another episode of Educational. This is Roy.
This is Terry.
So this is a fairly new show. We're going to just let the audience know, our target audience is going to be, of course, the aging, caregivers, family members, and those of us that are approaching aging. We want to, give a lot of information on not only, what can we do if we are when we get to some certain ages, but what also can we do to maybe help us age better, and then also look at how we can help caregivers and provide them support and information to help them provide better care. I guess our format is basically going to be, mine and Terry's journey on how we get through this, how we deal with our parents and our situations, but we also going to have guests on from time to time to, bring us some good information, professionals in their field, and other informational experts. So today we've got an awesome guest. We've been excited, looking forward to having him on. It's Dr. Travis Ziegler. He is a doctor of optometry. Is that? I know there's a couple designations, so I want to make sure I get that one right.
You are 100% spot on.
Okay.
Optometry.
Okay. So Dr. Travis and his wife, they used to have some clinics that they ran. They've since gotten out and they have formed, I guess it's a foundation, and I'll let you talk a lot more about this, but it's I Love, is that correct?
I Love is our overall brand name, yep, and
Yeah.
Heyedrate is our specific product line.
Yeah, and so, but you've also, the great thing about that is you've taken the profits from I Love and you've used those to fund low-cost clinics in Jamaica and the U.S. So, it's awesome that you're helping out those that really need the help the most. And I think in some of your information, like y'all's mission is to heal 1 million dry eye sufferers naturally. So I guess without Terry, do you want to talk a little bit about the?
Well, I was just going to reiterate, the I Love Foundation. It's such a worthy cause, and y'all have helped like 50,000 people so far. Is that correct? And your goal is to help.
I couldn't give you an exact number, but our goal, the goal with the foundation is to heal 1 billion, to end the 1 billion people that are blind due to lack of glasses. And so to put an exact number on that, I would say we've seen a lot.
Yeah.
We usually see close to 4,000 to 6,000 per year, and we've been doing it for almost 13 years now. And so it's something we've been doing for a long time. So to put an exact number, it's almost impossible because we see so many people in a week. But the goal of the foundation is sustainability, and we want to make sure that these people, we don't just get them glasses one time, but then we can continue to serve them over and over again instead of just giving them a pair of glasses. As you guys know, glasses get lost, broken, stolen, everything.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
trying to create more of a sustainability model around that.
Right. Well, yeah, we kind of got ahead of ourselves. But first, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with be with the show. It's awesome. If you don't mind, I know we've gone into a little fragmented, but give us a little bit about the background. I know that you graduated from the Ohio State University and, found your way to Texas finally. But talk a little bit about your, being, I guess, working more at the clinic level and then making the decision to take on this charity.
Yeah, so I'll sum up my whole journey in about less than 3 minutes. So we graduated, my wife and I graduated. We're both doctors of optometry. We graduated in 2010 and 2011 from the Ohio State Optometry College, or the Ohio State University College of Optometry. Got to get that right. Yeah. And we practiced for my uncle. My uncle had a practice, and we practiced with him until about 2014. Around 2013, I started feeling this itch to do something else. And we actually ended up quitting our jobs. We moved from Ohio to South Carolina, and we opened up 2 practices. And we wanted to open up a pediatric practice, but God had other plans, and he threw a geriatric practice at us. So we started seeing an aging population, and we noticed a lot of dry eyes. And so with a lot of dry eyes, we were treating it just like you normally do, giving them Restasis and steroid drops and doing everything we could that was in our medication tool belt. And during this time of building our practices, we also started an online company called I Love, and we make our brand line for more dry eye products. It's called Heyedrate. And so when we were seeing patients and just living life, building this online company with the two practices, we were battling fertility. And we were told we could not get pregnant. And this was 3 years of battling fertility. And we were told we couldn't get pregnant. So we switched to Eastern medicine. And when we switched to Eastern medicine, 3 months into Eastern medicine, we got pregnant. And we're having our third son in about a month. So
congratulations.
Thank you. But the shift happened. Like, we were Western medicine trained, and we'd been doing everything Western medicine way. But then we were healed with Eastern medicine after battling with Western medicine for 3 years.
Yeah.
And it just kind of shifted our brain. Like, why can't we take this to people with eye problems?
Right.
And so we started teaching people the switches that you can make to heal your body naturally, which will then in turn heal your eyes naturally. And we've sent thousands of people through our Dry Eye Bootcamp Challenge, and it's free. It's at dryeyebootcampchallenge.com. It's an 8-week program that just teaches you very simple things that you can change in your daily in your daily ritual or your habits to make your life better, to decrease your inflammation, to decrease your dry eye, to decrease your reliance on medications, and it works. And so if you stick to it, it works. And we've had so many people go through it, and it's amazing just to see the results of that. And so fast forward to around 2017 is when we had Jude, our first son, and we ended up selling one of the practices, and then we sold the other practice in 2018 to focus full-time on this online journey and teaching people how to heal dry eye naturally. And so our goal is to hit 1 million people to go through this program and to heal them naturally. And I think we're at about 50 to 75,000. That's probably where you got that number from. We're at about 50 to 75,000 that have gone through this. I think we're in our, let me go back, we're in our 4th year of doing it, three and a half years that we've been doing it. So we've built this audience of fans that have struggled with dry eye. They've been told everything, and then they find us online, either through our show on YouTube called The Dry Eye Show or our Facebook group called The Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community. Then they go through this natural journey that they've never been educated on. And then it's just amazing to see the results. So we're getting to impact a lot more people this way versus seeing patients one-on-one. So we're loving what we're doing now. We're doing this full time, and our goal is to hit 1 million by the year 2030.
That is awesome. And just kind of a plug for the show. It's funny that we have some Eastern medicine guests that are going to be on in the next couple weeks. So we're looking forward to that. I think, there seems to be a lot of shift going on from the Western medicine to the Eastern medicine. So interesting that you mentioned that. But so today, one couple things we want to talk about is, I guess, just the first would be basic eye health, and then of course get off to the dry eye just a little bit more. And I do like your, if I'm not wrong, the product, it's hydration with the EYE in the middle of it.
Heyedrate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, Heyedrate.
Yeah, I like that.
I signed up and got a free sample right away, and have been using it for the last 3 days. And man, I can tell a difference already.
Just wait for 2 weeks. It's going to get even better, but that's great. I love hearing those.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference between dry eye and maybe having allergies, or what's the difference? How do you know?
Yeah, so the biggest difference between those two is just your symptoms. So an allergy is going to itch more, and you're just going to feel like you want to dig into your eyes. So whenever I have a dry eye patient in my chair, I always ask, do your eyes itch more or do they burn more? And that will kind of indicate which way we want to go.
Okay.
With allergies, you can have an overactive immune system caused from inflammation, caused from the foods that you're eating and everything, and that can cause your allergies. And so when you clean up your diet, that sometimes can tone down your allergies because your immune system is toned down now too.
Right.
But allergies, we're trying to stop the itch more. Our spray will help with that, but it's not made for that. What it's made for is actually, it's called hypochlorous acid. And hypochlorous acid sounds scary because it's an acid.
Yes.
It's actually naturally made by your body.
Okay.
And so your immune system makes this to help kill bacteria and pathogens. And one of the most common causes of dry eye is a buildup of bacteria on your eyelids and in your eye. And so this hypochlorous acid helps reduce that bacteria load, which then reduces the inflammation, the redness, the pain, the irritation. And so that's how this helps. And contact lens wearers especially have a lot more bacteria, so they usually have a lot more dryness and irritation, which, Terry, I know you're a contact lens wearer.
Oh, yes. And not a
The
very
difference
good
in
one
treatment-
because I wear them. You know, I sleep in them.
Yep.
I'm your worst nightmare.
Spray that spray. So make sure you're spraying that spray, because the spray is going to help keep that bacterial load down, because most contact lens complications that we see in clinic, red eyes, ulcers, all those, caused from overgrowth of bacteria.
Okay.
And so, and hypoxia, which is a lack of oxygen. And so we can take care of the bacteria side with our spray. So make sure you're using that spray morning and night, and take your contact lenses out at night, please.
Yes, yes, I have been since I spoke to you the first time. I promise.
Well, before we get too far off into the dry eye, can you just give us some general eye health information?
Yeah. So one of the best things you can do is protect yourself from the sun. The sun causes a lot of problems. Not really the sun, but the UV light from the sun. And so sunglasses are a great thing to wear outdoors when it's a bright sunny day and the UV index is high. I know you guys are in Texas. We're in Texas. It's a nice sunny day down here in Austin. And so UV index isn't going to be as high in the winter, of course, but in the summer it can get up to 10. And so when you're trying to avoid that time period, but UV protection is huge. So wearing a good emphasis on the good
Right.
pair of sunglasses. So most sunglasses that you buy, the gas station cheapies that you buy, the $10 to $5, you can actually like clean off the UV protection that are on those. And so you want to get a pair that's actually got the UV protection embedded into it. And so I love Maui Jim. That's like my favorite sunglass brand. They are a little pricier. Ray-Ban, as much as I don't like the parent company of Ray-Ban, Ray-Ban actually makes a good lens that is very protective from the sun. Just make sure you invest in sunglasses, because it's going to protect your eyes from the UV light. That's kind of one of the most basic ones that you hear, but it is important. But one of my favorite ones is if you decrease the inflammation in your body, you're going to heal your eyes and keep your eyes healthy. And so this will go, we'll probably get into this a little bit more on the dry eye side, but the first thing we recommend anybody when they ask me, what's the number one thing I can do for my eye health? Or what's the number one thing I can do for my dry eye? Or what's the number one thing I can do for macular degeneration? Is replace your breakfast with a green smoothie. I cannot emphasize the importance of this.
Okay.
Because you guys have all heard that carrots are good for your eyes. And that's because the vitamins that are in carrots. Spinach is even better, but you have to have organic spinach because it has more of the nutrients. And so a green smoothie is just simply a non-dairy milk, and then you can put some spinach in there, and then some fruit. So I recommend berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, any of those. And then you can put like protein powders. We recommend plant-based protein powders as well, just to flavor it up a little bit more. Avoid juices, but simply replacing your breakfast with a green smoothie is going to replace one of the most inflammatory meals of the day, because most people eat cereal, toast, meat like bacon or sausage or ham. Those are all heavily inflammatory foods for your body. And so when you get rid of those at breakfast time and replace it with an anti-inflammatory green smoothie that's filled with greens, greens are great because they have vitamins A, vitamin C, and then also they have what are called phytochemicals or phytonutrients. These are zeaxanthin, lutein, and astaxanthin. And so those are found abundantly in your eye. And when you eat more of them, intake more of them, ingest more of them, it's going to make your eye healthier. And so not only are you decreasing the inflammation in your entire body, which then decreases your risk for high blood pressure, heart attack, diabetes, dry eye, macular degeneration, you're also making your eyes healthier in the same light. So I'm going to go one example, and then I'll see if you guys have any questions.
Yeah.
But we were at a conference once, and there's this new, it's called the macular pigment density measurement. And so what it does is it measures the back of your eye and how dense or how packed in your pigment is. The more pigment you have, the healthier, the less likely you have to develop macular degeneration. My wife and I, we've drank green smoothies since 2013, every single day. We were the highest by over double everybody else at the conference because we eat green smoothies every day.
Wow.
That tells you how healthy our eyes are and how healthy our bodies are because of that.
It's interesting you bring that up because some things that we had discussed last week, this, like for me, I do suffer from high blood pressure and keeping it under control, but that spinach is high in potassium. So I think just the other day, Terry went to the grocery store and got us the, the spinach, and I don't know if it's organic. That may be one swap we need to make, but
I think it was.
but
Yes.
adding that in the berries and trying to do that green smoothie. So it's also good to know, not only for the inflammatory high blood pressure, but also to help our eyes. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's overlooked a lot.
Yeah, so
People
that
have
is
the
my
aches
number
and
one
pains.
tip.
Yeah. So you did mention carrots. I was just gonna say, is that all pretty much all in truth, or is that a wives' tale that carrots are the best for our eyesight?
Not the best, but they're still good. They have beta carotene in them. But like I said, kale and spinach and your green vegetables are going to be a lot better for your eyes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'll have to suffer through some
I'm guessing
kale.
the carrot farmer somewhere came out with that ad.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. It's good stuff to know. Yeah, because I think people, especially of our age group, we're a little late to the party. But the more that we can do now, it will probably reduce our suffering and our decreased vision, 20, 25, 30 years from now, I hope.
Never too late to start, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm in my 30s and I started when I was in my 20s. So
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're the early bird. You had all that information.
So, talk to us a little bit about dry eye, because I can tell when I eat, and I don't know exactly what it is. I have some kind of food allergies, because there'll be mornings when I wake up with the more puffy eyes, more scratchy, and then it'll dissipate, excuse me, through the day. But I can usually tell it's triggers of things I've eaten the day before. So I know you've explained the difference between that, but can you tell us a little bit more just about the dry eye itself?
yeah, so dry eye is an interesting list of symptoms, because the most typical symptom that you're going to have is that irritation, that dryness in your eye, that redness in your eye. But you can also feel like there's something in your eye, like a piece of sand, feels almost gritty, and you can't get it out. And so that's another common symptom, is you feel like you have something in there, but it's just not in there. Another common symptom is your eyes are watering too much. Now, this sounds crazy, because you have dry eye. Why are my eyes watering? And I'm going to get into a little biology here, and anatomical lesson. So your tears that are on the front of your eye are made to moisturize, lubricate, and help you see better. So the tears have multiple layers. They have 3 layers. And the outside layer comes from your eyelid. Your eyelid has lots of glands. They're called Meibomian Glands. And those glands secrete an oil onto our eye. That oil, its only responsibility, well, not the only, but one of its primary responsibilities is to keep your tears together. Now, there's a second layer of the tears called the watery layer, and that comes from a gland called your lacrimal gland, which is up here in your eyelid. So the Meibomian glands are all around the eyelid. The lacrimal gland is kind of on the outside of your eyelid. So when the Meibomian glands, the oil glands, are not functioning properly, oil is not getting onto the eye, and what happens is those tears that they're supposed to stay together, they're now breaking up. And when they break up, your brain or your eye is screaming in pain that I don't have enough tears on my eye, I need help, which then triggers your brain to release more watery tears. So your eyes are watering more as a result of not having enough oily layer on your tears.
Okay.
And so a lot of people ask me, like, why do you recommend cleaning your eyelid and eyelid hygiene as one of the first steps in treating dry eye? And it's because those oil glands, and we want to make sure the oil glands are working properly.
Okay.
And they work properly by decreasing the bacteria on our eyelids and decreasing the inflammation. Because if your eyelids are inflamed, the oil glands aren't going to work, and the oil glands can actually die off. And if they die off, it's very hard. And we haven't really had any studies that show it. It's hard to get them back. And so we want to make sure we take care of our eyelids. I actually use our spray every single day, and I don't have any problems with dry eye. I'm doing it as just a preventative measure, very similar to how you brush your teeth to prevent cavities. Cavities are from bacteria in your mouth. You're brushing your teeth to decrease the bacteria. I'm doing that on my eyelids to prevent future problems, 30, 40 years down the line.
Okay.
And so watery tears or watery eyes, gritty eyes, dry, irritation, redness, those are kind of the most common symptoms. And, they can happen, like you talked about, from food. So food is huge. And we have so many sensitivities to food that we don't even realize that we've just kind of normalized in our own lives. And I'll give you an example of something that happened in my life. I've gone gluten-free. I am a gluten-free, dairy-free vegetarian. Now, it sounds terrible, doesn't it?
It sounds horrible.
90% of the time. But the other 10%, I still eat other stuff. I still eat meat. I still drink a little bit here and there, and I still eat a little bit of gluten. But the 90% that I control, I am very strict with my diet, because what happens is if I start eating gluten more, gluten is actually something that almost every single person is sensitive to. They just don't realize it. Every single person almost. I realize it. So when I eat gluten too much, I get eczema all over my hands, all over my face. I get rosacea, so my whole face will flush. Wow. And then I get arthritis. I can't even do one push-up if I eat too much gluten. But this morning I did 100 push-ups because I haven't had gluten in a while.
Oh my
so I can do a lot of push-ups. Right. I do push-ups every morning, but I can't even do one if I've had gluten too much. Yeah. So that's the effect, is arthritis, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, diarrhea, constipation, gas, acid reflux. Those are all signs of a food sensitivity. And so if you have any of those problems, then you need to watch what you're eating. The easiest way to figure it out is eliminating gluten and dairy first. I didn't even say meat there. Gluten and dairy. If you can eliminate those two, try gluten first and then dairy second. Okay. You'd be shocked by how many symptoms will go away as a result of eliminating gluten and dairy.
Wow.
I kind of went off on a whole body tangent when you asked about dry eyes.
No, that's good to know, because like I said, that's something I've found that with me, it's more than it does affect my eyes, but it can affect. I'll be so congested in the mornings when I wake up that it may take me 2 or 3 hours to clear my head and finally, be able to carry on normally. So definitely something worth checking out. I guess kind of backing up just a minute would be the why. Why would what causes the dry eye? Is it environmental? Is it body chemistry? I mean, we talked a little bit about diet, but what are some of the other things that can be factored in that?
Yeah, so you nailed it. It's environment, it's what we eat, it's what we do, it's a lot of things. So it's a very multifactorial disease.
Okay.
And what can cause it is your tears can just be off. We talked about those oil glands earlier. If the oil glands aren't working properly, that will cause dry eye. Your eyelids could be off. So you could have problems with your eyelids that aren't, stuck to the eye as much as they're supposed to be, or you're not blinking properly, or you're not blinking fully closed. So that's another cause of it. Now, it can be caused because the chemical imbalance of your tears is off. It tends to be more salty in dry eye patients versus more non-salty for normal patients. And so that saltiness is a sign of dry eye as well. It can be from innervation from your nerves. So your nerves might have something off, and that's causing your dry eye.
Okay.
But most of the time, almost 95% of the time, it is that inflammation. And so this person's whole body is inflamed, and that inflammation is causing the dry eye. Some other things can cause it too. You mentioned environment, so we'll get into that a little bit. Of course, like if you're in a desert type environment or a winter, those are going to be drier environments than Texas summer, which is humid, or an Ohio summer, which is even more humid.
Yes.
So 100% humidity and 95-degree day is going to be better for dry eye than a negative 20 degree with 0% humidity. And so putting a humidifier by your bed can sometimes help with that. And then also an air purifier by your bed might help with that congestion as well, just to go back to that.
Yeah.
But then let's stick with environment. Computers, phones, all of this stuff is causing problems with your eyes. You're not blinking as much when you're on a computer. And so when you're not blinking as much, your oil glands aren't releasing as much oil, and therefore your eyes are getting drier. We're starting to see dry eye in younger and younger demographics because they're on their computers 8 to 10 to 12 to 14 hours a day, which is absurd. And they don't blink as much. Right. And so if they're not blinking, they're not playing outside, it's causing more problems with dryness. And so sticking with the environment, what I recommend with computer work, with phone work, is the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes of computer or phone work, just take 20 seconds or 5 minutes even, and just look at something 20 feet away or further. That's going to relax your eyes. It's going to decrease your dryness. It's going to make you blink. Okay. And the second thing about phones and computer use is stop using them 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed. because all of these devices have blue light.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't think Terry heard you on that. Could you say that one? Could you just repeat that one more time?
I will definitely repeat it one more time for the listeners as well, because get off your phone, get off your computer, get off the TV 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed, because the blue light emitted from these devices is actually preventing you from getting into your deep, restful sleep. Because blue light is made by the sun. Obviously, the sky is blue, but blue light is made from the sun to tell you to wake up. And so when blue light's out, your melatonin drops, and melatonin is your sleep hormone. So melatonin drops when blue light's out, and when blue light goes away, the sun goes down, your melatonin increases. Well, the problem we have right now is we're on our devices, so we're constantly being exposed to blue light. Yeah. And that constant exposure is then causing your melatonin not to increase. Therefore, if you, this is my challenge to your listeners.
Okay.
Do what you normally do, and then try this. An hour before bed, shut off all electronics. Watch how much faster you fall asleep.
Yes.
And then watch how much better you feel when you wake up in the morning, because you get into that deep, restful sleep. Stage 4 sleep, REM sleep. It's harder to get to that when your melatonin's not increased in production because of that blue light on your phone.
Right. Yeah, and that's a shift that we've tried to make, for myself even, watching TV, going to sleep, but, try to read a book and try to at least take that hour or so. I don't think I've done good on the time frame, but, I will work on trying to stretch that to, an hour to 2 hours out. So that's great advice for a lot of reasons, not only for our eyes, but just for our general health and well-being.
Health, yeah.
So
the bedroom is for sleep and sex only. That's what I always tell people.
Right. So what are some future implications of dry eye and not taking care of that, as early as we can once we get to our 70s and 80s? I assume that it's like anything else. It kind of manifests into something probably worse after a while.
Yeah, not to scare listeners or scare you too, but like I have seen the worst case of dry eyes where people can't even function anymore. And so a lot of these people are just miserable. They can't even open their eyes long enough to really function in life. They can't drive anymore as a result of the dry eye severity. Now, with that being said, that is less than 1% of the cases. And I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, that's the people that usually find us online because they've tried everything, nothing's working. And so they're looking for answers. So that's very rare. That's, like I said, less than 1%. What my fear with the future is if we're not taking care of our eyelids now, all those Meibomian glands that secrete that oil in this younger generation, they're going to be gone. And the problem is once Meibomian glands are gone and you have no more oily layer on your tears, that's where the severe dry eye kicks in. Okay. And so we don't know we don't know what's going to happen to the generation below me. I didn't grow up with smartphones. I got my first cell phone when I think was a freshman at college. So, and it was just a flip phone that was like green screen. So that shows like where my demographic is. I'm 36 years old. Below me though is the generation that I fear because they're the ones that grew up with smartphones, grew up with computers. I didn't even have a computer in my house until I was like in high school. And so they're on it all the time. School's on it, everything's on it, especially now with the COVID environment and that virtual learning.
Right.
They're on it all the time. And so what's going to happen to that generation in 40 years when they're in their 40s and 50s and their Meibomian glands are completely gone as a result of all this computer work? And so we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I think it's the same thing that's going to happen to that same generation with their hearing because they always have earphones in or headphones in or iPod. I can't even think the word iPod.
Earbuds.
Earbuds. There we go. That's the word. So it's scary to think about, but the easiest thing you can do is clean your eyelids. So you don't even have to buy any of my products. You have face wash at home, use a natural face wash. Make sure it doesn't have bad ingredients in it. So a more natural organic face wash, wash your face, but then spend a specific little time just kind of gently rubbing your eyelids. Okay. You don't need all the fancy eyelid washes that we sell, eyelid scrubs or anything like that. But the easiest thing to add is the spray that we sell. And so after you wash your face, you can just spray your eyelids and just leave it on. And that's it. And so that's the easiest thing you can do. It's like brushing your teeth, but it only takes about 5 seconds versus 2 minutes. And so that's the easiest thing you can do right now to just maintain the health of your eyelids. And I think you'll start to see that coming up in the next 10 to 20 years is that's going to be discussed more. Brush your teeth, wash your eyelids, brush your teeth, wash your eyelids. Because I mean, I can live without my teeth, but I don't want to live without my eyes.
Right, right. Exactly. So this is a little bit off topic, but something related to computers. So one thing I notice about me is if I'm in front of a computer all day, or especially an iPhone, something, because I'm, basically in front of a screen 10 hours a day.
All day.
And then I get out in the car and start driving, it's like I've been focused, I guess, up close for so long. Then there's that transition. Sometimes it doesn't even happen, but it's like trying to get my focus back for that longer distances. I guess we can relate that back to that 20-20-20 exercise that you said earlier, or is there, what can we do to help that? Because I just think about how dangerous that is, especially in the dusky hours to get out and drive. You can't you're not really focused and being able to see far clear.
Yeah, so let's go into that. This is where I'm going to debunk the myth of Terry blaming her dad for everything with her eyesight. So we talked about that before we got on air.
Right.
So
genetics
when we're reading
go
and
ahead.
looking at anything up,
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. So whenever we're reading or looking at anything up close, what we're doing is our eyes are focusing. So we have a muscle inside our eye, and it bends the lens inside our eye to be able to see up close.
Okay.
And it's actively working. That's when we're reading. When we look at something far away, everything is relaxed. The muscles relax, the lens is relaxed. It's in its natural state. So that's why when you're reading for a long period of time, your eyes are tired. What I like to relate it to is you have a 10-pound weight, not too heavy, and you start curling it. You do bicep curls. And it's not bad, it's only 10 pounds. But imagine doing that for an hour, and then 2 hours, and then 3 hours. That's what we're doing to our eyes when we're reading and on computer all the time.
Okay.
And so when you look at something far away, it's like putting that bicep curl or that dumbbell down and giving your arm a break. And so what's happening with you, and this is the unfortunate thing of hitting your 40s and into your 50s.
Right.
And so we have that lens. That lens is flexible when we're born. But starting at age 6 months to 2 years, we start to add layers to that lens every single day. And as we add layers to anything, it gets thicker. And as anything gets thicker, it gets less and less flexible. And so the ability for you to bend your lens to see up close and then relax it to see far away just takes a longer time period than it did when you were in your 20s and then in your teens. And so what happens with that, as that lens continues to get more and more rigid and less flexible, that's when we start to lose the ability to read. And that's when we need reading glasses.
Okay.
And then furthermore, once we hit our 50s and into our 60s, as that lens gets thicker and thicker and thicker, it actually changes our whole prescription. So then we have trouble seeing not only up close for reading, but now we need them for far away as well.
Yeah.
And so that's a completely normal process that happens to the lens inside our eye. And then what happens next is that lens becomes cloudy, and that's a cataract. Everybody thinks a cataract is a disease. It's not. It's just a normal degeneration and clouding of the lens inside your eye.
Okay.
And it happens to 100% of us if we live long enough. And so once that happens, we take out that rigid, cloudy, inflexible lens out of the eye, and we put a brand new plastic one in the eye. This new plastic one, you can have it made for just distance only. You can have it made for just computers. You can have it made for both. You can have it made for everything. So you get rid of your glasses after cataract surgery. Not full time. You get rid of your glasses having to wear them full time, but you can kind of customize that whole experience for yourself.
Yeah.
And so I hope that made sense.
Yes.
With the transition of your entire life. You're probably thinking back like, yep, I remember, yep, okay.
Yeah.
I got my reading glasses and then I got my full-time glasses.
Yeah, my big wake up, and I hate to even say this, but years ago, a few years ago, I went to the get my driver's license renewed, and it was all. This is a little exaggerated, but it's almost as bad as she said, "Can you look at the letters in this machine?" I'm like, "Well, what machine?" It wasn't quite that
Where's the
bad, but
machine?
that was a definite wake up for me. That like one side was just nothing but lines across of it. So anyway, I went out and got that taken care of. Well, back to the cataracts for just a second. I know we could make a whole episode from that, but that is something that is very gradual. So what is a key, or what's something that we can look for to say, really, now is the time to get that taken care of before we get in a really bad position?
Yeah, cataracts and cataract surgery is all about one thing, and it's all about you. And so it's all about how much it's affecting your daily life.
Okay.
And so I know patients that have cataracts and they don't do anything about it because they're fine. They can see, they can pass their driver's test, doesn't really bother them.
Okay.
Then I have other patients that they have the smallest, littlest, tiniest cataract that you wouldn't think affects anything, and they can't stand it. And so we have them get surgery very soon in the process. Now, from Medicare standards, Medicare says that you have to see worse than 20/40 or worse with correction in order to have surgery.
Okay.
And so 20/40 isn't that bad of vision. So 20/20 line is the bottom line. Then there's 20/25, 20/30, 20/40. So it's only 4 lines worse than that 20/20 line when we're measuring. To give you an idea, when we're on mission trips, we correct to the 20/40 line because they're used to not seeing anything.
Yeah.
And so to correct them just to that 20/40 line, which is considered, medically necessary here in the US, that just shows you it just depends on the patient. So once you start noticing that daily life being affected, that's when we have it done.
Okay.
And does everything get blurry? I mean, I know today's eye day for me, so I have an appointment after this to get with my optometrist. But the last 5 years that I've gone in, he said you're starting to get some cataract, and we can see some cataract things going on, and I have noticed, really, especially the last 2 years, everything is blurrier. Now I know that's because I'm one of those, that wears my contacts all the time, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with it as well. But is that a sign of cataract? I mean, is there a sign that you're having cataracts?
Yeah. So blurriness is the number one sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Blurriness is the number one sign, but you're just judging by your symptoms. I'm guessing you're farsighted.
Yep.
Plus you need reading glasses.
Yep.
And so having both of those gradually gets worse over time. Therefore, it could be that as well.
Okay.
And so when I hear doctors say that you have a small cataract, I actually never really talk to my patients when they had that small cataract, quote unquote, small cataract, because I always saw that it caused too much anxiety in the patient, and it's really nothing. It's subclinical. It's just something that everybody has. So why do you tell your patient? Because unless it's causing them problems.
Right.
And so if I see a small cataract and I think it's going to cause them problems within the next year, then I educate them on it.
Okay.
But for the most part, I never really educated those small cataracts that almost everybody over the age of 55 has. I never educated on that just because it's not worth the anxiety that the patient caused, because you as a patient hear cataract and you're like, wait, what? I have a cataract?
Yeah, I
but
don't
us
want
as
that.
doctors, we're just like, yeah, she's a cataract. What's the big deal?
Right.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to have to start wrapping up. We appreciate you giving so generously of your time. But a couple things before we go. Number one is, I think our eyes are, we always want to go to the doctor, get our checkup, to the dentist, get our cleaning every 6 months. But I'm one to say that, I probably don't take care of my eyes as good as I should because, right now I can see. But I think, so tell us, what is a good schedule for us to be on to, go get our examinations?
So this will be the official schedule from the AOA, which is the American Optometric Association.
Okay.
And so the first time we ever want to see you for an exam, 9 months old.
Wow.
9 months.
Okay.
Wow. I didn't realize.
Everything's normal at 9 months. We go every 2 years until you're 6 years old. And then from age 6 years old until about the age of 20, we like to see you every year because a lot can change every year when you're growing like that. So up to 20, we like to see every year. If everything is completely normal, you don't wear glasses, everything's healthy, every other year is good after that until you're about 40. And so after 40, then we like to see you every year because it's not just about glasses and contacts. It's about everything else we can find. Glaucoma is not a condition that you will notice any problems until it's too late. Macular degeneration, you will not notice many problems until it's too late. Those are diseases that are harder to reverse, and we don't have a simple cataract surgery that can fix them.
Okay.
And so I've detected 5 patients with brain tumors from an eye exam. And we
Wow.
caught the brain tumor fast enough that they were able to get treatment and they survived. I remember I was in clinic one day and a patient came in, knocked on my door and said, he just gave me a hug. And I didn't remember him right off the top of my head, but he's like, you sent me out for a brain scan, an MRI, and they found a brain tumor. And they said they caught it early enough and they removed it and I'm cancer-free because of what you found on the eye exam.
Wow.
And so that is the importance of an eye exam, because we can catch those things before you'll notice any problems, because he didn't have any symptoms. But a test that I did in my office made me believe that he might have a brain tumor. So I sent him out for further testing and he did. Okay. And so that's the power of an eye exam. Your eyes are the windows to your entire body. We can see live blood vessels in the back of the eye and detect diabetes and high blood pressure before you even know you have it, and before your doctor can sometimes detect it, because we see live blood vessels, and you don't see that anywhere else in the body unless you get cut open.
Yeah.
And so the eyes are powerful, and I recommend an exam every year. So if you want to don't remember any of about all these things I just said, just remember, go every year. That's it.
Okay.
Just go every year.
Yeah, and that's a good point you make, especially people that suffer from high blood pressure and diabetes, that they can have a tremendous effect on our eyesight. And from my understanding, that's something that's not reversible, is that damage. So you end up basically having to live with that.
Yeah, the scarring can be pretty horrific, but if we catch the diabetes soon enough, we can reverse it. But if it gets bad enough, the scarring is really bad.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Can you tell us about your I Love Cares Foundation a little bit, and if somebody wants to get more information about that, and what your purpose and all of that?
Yeah. So the I Love Cares Foundation was started because my wife and I went on a mission trip back in 2006. So I said 13 years ago, it's actually been 15 years.
Wow.
So 2006, we went on our first mission trip in Ecuador and fell in love with it. There's nothing like giving somebody vision for the first time, and they're like 16 years old or even 40 years old or even 70 years old. They've never had great vision. You put a pair of glasses on them. A pair of simple readers can make a huge difference in somebody's life. Yeah. You and I can pick up readers at the drugstore for $1, and they have no access to this. So a 60-year-old thinks they're blind because they can no longer read. Put a pair of readers on them, they burst in tears because they can read again. Mm-hmm. Another story that we've seen is a fisherman. Fishermen need to line their hook, and they can no longer line their hook, so they become beggars on the street, because middle class in these countries that we serve is $2,000 a year. And so every little bit counts. And if they are making $2,000 a year for their family of 5, and all of a sudden their income gets cut off because they can no longer fish their hook, that's a big deal. Yeah. And so we're not just giving glasses, we're stimulating the economy in these countries, because these people can get back to work and serve other people instead of just begging on the streets. And so that's kind of the foundation of our foundation, is just healing these people that don't have access to eye care and don't have access to glasses, and giving it to them for free. And if you ever want to come with us, our website's ilovecares.org. But if you ever want to come with us, just reach out to me, and I'll give some other places that you can reach out to me here in just a little bit. But reach out to me, and if you want to volunteer, you do not have to be a doctor. You do not have to be in eye care. You can just come with us and enjoy and be humbled by serving, and serving humanity in a completely different light.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and give everybody, basically talk a little bit about your product. What, we've talked a little bit, but you can go ahead and say, how that can help people. And also, if you have a tip, one thing I like to ask is, what is something, and we can do the eye care, is what is something that you do every day, I guess, besides clean your eyelids, that, perpetuates your eye care? So we talked about green smoothies. That's one of my favorites. Yeah. Hydration is another one of my favorites. Just making sure you drink enough water. Okay. Organic foods, we've talked about that. And then the phones, we've pretty much covered my whole boot camp in this episode. But decreasing your phone use to sleep better. But another big part is stress as well. And so stress, chronic stress that we're all under, increases inflammation in your body and causes a lot of disease. And so doing things to just de-stress your life.
Some of my favorites are I write 3 things that I'm grateful for every night before I go to bed. 3 things that I'm grateful for that happened that day.
Yeah.
Another thing is meditation. When I wake up in the morning, I spend my first 5 to 30 minutes in meditation and prayer because it sets the mood for the day. It keeps you calmer, and it will decrease your stress because you're connecting with a higher purpose. And those are kind of, stress is another big thing that you just really need to maintain, and take time out to just breathe. You don't have to be rushing. This is your life. Your life, you control it.
Right.
And a lot of people let life control them.
Right.
And that's why you're so stressed out. But if you take control of life, then you'll be a lot less stressed out and you'll have a lot more fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the other tips, because we already went through all my other tips.
Right. All right. Well, we do appreciate you taking time out of your day. So again, let everybody know, how, if they'd like to be a part of your trip, or just get some more information, how can we reach out and either connect with you or get to your website?
Yeah, so the easiest way to find us is on Facebook. Our support community called the Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community.
Okay.
Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community. Just type in Dry Eye on Facebook and we're the first group to pop up.
Okay.
We're really active in that. We go live in that once a week with either an interview with an expert, or we just go live talking about a subject. We also go live a lot on our YouTube channel, which is called The Dry Eye Show. And you're going to get, eye-specific advice, but you're also going to get overall health advice too.
Okay,
so the
great.
Dry Eye Show on YouTube, or the Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community on Facebook. And then if you want to try our spray, our Heyedrate Lid and Lash Cleanser, if you're suffering from dry eye, or you just want to start, that eyelid maintenance routine,
Yes.
you can get it at freehydrate.com. Freehydrate.com. It's free. Your first bottle's free. It's a month's supply. You just have to pay for shipping and handling, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, and it's easy. Terry, like she said, she reached out, signed up for it, already got it, and is already using it. So
Yeah, it's made a big difference. And
Now you're never going to stop hearing from us.
no, that's right. Well, I've gotten lots of emails, but I'm trying to read them all. But the proceeds for what you sell go toward these trips and helping people in Jamaica and beyond.
Yep. So we donate a portion of all profits, not profits, actually. We donate a portion of all top line revenue
Okay.
to the foundation. And I think just in 2020, we were able to donate close to $60,000 to the foundation, which helped give sunglasses and glasses to a ton of people. Even though we weren't able to go on our mission trips in 2020, we still sent sunglasses. We actually, Jamaica's our main hub. That's where we go every October. We actually were able to donate over, I think it was like 10,000 meals this year in Jamaica. Wow. And so it was cool to see, because one of our friends is down there. He was actually hand delivering just bags of groceries to these families. And it was just really rewarding. Not our typical, Eyesight mission, but we kind of adjust to what's in need. And during COVID, glasses are great, but nobody's working. So you don't really need to see that well. But food was more important in the year 2020 to get people food that they needed.
That's great. And also I wanted to mention that you and your lovely wife, Jenna, are expanding your family this year, correct?
March 24th. So
oh my God.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, we're excited and anxious, and all sorts of life changes in 2021 happening.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my advice to everybody is to, get that eye appointment if you haven't made one in a while, because I think eyesight, more than anything else, you don't realize how lucky you are to have it, and we need to take better care of it to make it last. We definitely don't want to outlive our eyesight. It can really, just debilitate our quality of life, among other things. So reach out to Dr. Travis if you got some dry eye issues. They can help you, and also make those appointments, get out there and get it taken care of. So
Yes.
for today, that's going to do it for this episode of Educational. We appreciate it. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and a lot of other ones. If we're not on a service that you use, please reach out. We'll be glad to get it added. You can also find us at www.educational.com. This we will post this episode there with a transcript of the podcast. Also find us on YouTube at Educational. We do have a channel that this interview, once it goes live, then the video will be posted of it as well. Also, since we are new, we ask that if you are a professional that is, targets aging with some kind of service or product, we'd love to hear from you. If you are a senior that has made it through something or would like to share your journey with us, caregivers, we'd be glad to hear from you. You can either write me or Terry at, Roy or Terry with a Y at ageucational.com. So until next time, thank you very much, and take care of your loved ones.
Thank you, Dr. Travis. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.